Okay, more doomsday story time with our team. If you don't recognize me yet, my name is Alex. I run an AI agency, Toronto, Ontario, called Peak Demand, and we've been, trying to spread the good word on AI for look at this guy's face. We've been trying to spread the word on AI for probably like 2 3 years now in Canada, but the story hasn't taken hold. Like most of the time, people just fear AI, and Canadians and boomers are like, "Oh no, AI is going to take our data." Take our jobs. That's usually the fear. And a lot of the times when it comes to data, Canadians are already locked in Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. We pretty much sold our souls to the powers that be, Meta, Google, Amazon, so on. But when it comes to AI and jobs, that's a huge consideration that you know business owners are taking. Do we hire someone to do a mediocre job, or do we try to figure out this AI thing and have AI do it relatively well? And so on in Canada, business owners are generally doing nothing, like literally not hiring, not implementing AI. We're in last place to implement any sort of meaningful AI in this country amongst the G7 nations. And young people are quite literally grasping at straws to try and pay their bills. We have some of the highest unemployment in a developed nation for youth. And so when I saw this video come up on my feed, this gentleman named Vincent Chan talking about Gen Z's career apocalypse just got worse. I'm thinking to myself, oh, maybe he's going to talk about AI. He does. And so I want to, through this guy's got nearly a million subscribers. He's a beast on YouTube. I want to see what he says, try and have some commentary on it from my perspective as an AI agency owner, quite literally building robots, and then try and hopefully give the youth some guidance here. So let's get into it.
Is the worst it's ever been in over a decade, specifically for the younger generation. Gen Z's unemployment rate is nearly double that of the national average, and nearly 60% of all recent college
And
grads.
this, if you're a Canadian watching, obviously he's an American. He's talking about American rates, but we want to use the American numbers more so than Canadians, just because they have bigger scale and things tend to affect them a little bit more.
Are still looking for their first job, and that's compared to just 25% of recent college graduates in previous generations. But is this all Gen Z's fault, or is there something else going on behind the scenes? Many baby boomers believe that Gen Z is in all this mess because they're too lazy, entitled, and have no work ethic. Which is kind of funny because we've heard this many times before. Each generation loves to complain about the next new generation. Baby boomers were called the me generation back in the 70s because they supposedly only cared about themselves. Gen X were branded the slackers in the 90s, and millennials were also called lazy and entitled in the 2010s. At this point, criticizing the following generation is basically a rite of passage. I'm not saying that every Gen Z person is the perfect worker, but the narrative that they're all just lazy and entitled is kind of a cop-out. It scapegoats an entire generation rather than facing the real reasons behind why the job market is so bad for the youngins.
And if you're a young person and older people are telling you, oh, you're too lazy, or you got to go to get an education, get more skills, you get a better job, they're living in an old world mentality. It's just like when, I'm 75, I'm 37 now. When I'm 77, let's just say 40 years from now, when I get to that age, how I've formed my opinions, my beliefs, my biases from my young age are probably going to carry on until I'm older, unless I have unless I have like no will to evolve or assume like higher level thoughts or anything like that. Let's just assume that like how what I know now is going to be how I think for the rest of my life. The young kids at that time, they're going to be looking at quantum technology, artificial intelligent robots walking around. They're going to think my little baby understanding of AI, even though I'm an AI agency owner today in 2025, in 2065, I might just be an old crotchety retired guy looking at young people ripping around in their flying cars. You don't know. But the perspective I'm going to have is going to be based on what I know. And older generations today, they don't know shit about technology. They don't know shit about AI. How do I know this? Well, we talk to older people, older business owners all the time. And generally the position they take is, we haven't done anything. We're literally just sitting here watching technology evolve past us into the future. Who's generally picking up technology first? Young people, particularly young men. And so it's generally a disconnection between the demographics, is where we see the disconnection in understanding systems, technology, and the implications of having that technology on the workforce or in the job market. So when you hear an older person saying, "Well, you're too lazy. Back in my day, we had to do this. I had to climb, 300 kilometers of rock to just to get to school, and then I had to, jump off with the no parachute to get home to go to bed." Like, and you hear all these stories from the boomers. It's like you guys had it really easy. Like you grew up in a world where there was a lot of opportunity, a lot. And if you're a boomer watching this, you're like, "Ah, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I had a hard time." I beg you to put yourselves in the shoes of any young person today and go a month of just trying to get a job. Go 2 months without trying to get a job. I'm seeing stories now where I'm looking at people who have a profound amount of skills go 2, 3 years with no job. I ask any boomer to try and put themselves in the shoes of young people today, and you're gonna quickly see from this guy's video, like, young people are cooked. And if you're a young person watching this, just know, like, usually I'd be the guy coming out here and saying, have hope, do stuff. You got to get into technology now, yesterday, if you want to see yourself have any semblance of a future, because that's where all the money's going. The reason why you don't see, and it's so funny, whenever I go out now, all I see is like, especially downtown Toronto, all you see when you go out is just crowds and crowds of women. Women are going out for dinner, going out celebrating, all that stuff. It's like, where are the guys? Where are all these dudes at? Most of these young men are sitting at their computer, trading crypto, doing something with AI, doing some sort of online venture. Like, you just don't see a lot, or maybe they're just playing video games. They're just like completely checking out and away from what would be considered the normal modus of operandus for a young man. Get a good job, uh, get a wife, have a house, or have a kid, get a house, all that stuff. But it's not happening anymore. So we really got to think, well, why is that? Why is this not happening anymore? What is going on to the point where the people who are supposed to be building the infrastructure of our country for tomorrow, what are they doing? A lot of them, if you don't see them, they're getting into technology. They're trying to figure it out, or they're just completely stepping back from the whole situation and saying, "I'm screwed." So we really have to be more conscious of what's going on. And it's so funny because, like, even for me, I always think to myself, like, where's all the tech guys that were supposed to be around? Like, where's all the tech people? How come I feel like I'm the only guy out here? I'm not a developer, like, at my core. And I can tell you right now, most of the developers, the real developers who know what they're doing, they're on the blockchain, developing the new financial ecosystem of the future. They're not even where, and AI is a backdrop. It's a background noise to these guys. So for normal everyday people to not acknowledge AI, it's extremely dangerous, because the fabric of the future is being developed for that technology right now. Like, there's millions of young men on the blockchain right now, building up that ecosystem, because that's where the value is going. That's where money is going. So I really do hope, if you're a young person and you're watching this, like, just know you're cooked. I'm every single time I use this word cooked, it's like, this is as a young person's term, cooked. What does it mean, cook? I like to cook myself, but I can tell you right now, you guys are absolutely coming out the oven baked. It's written in stone. You gotta move faster. You gotta make more now, because no one's coming out here to help you. And, like, I'm an old guy now. I'm a what do you guys get called now? Unk. I'm your unk. Your unk is telling you no one's coming for you guys. You really, really have to do better now.
And it really just boils down to three main things.
CRM is so slow. So slow. Thank
The first reason being the broken career pipeline. So this guy worked as a UI UX designer for a fintech company who basically laid off the entire design team, and then many months later just found out that his company hired a bunch of AI interns to do their job. And this isn't just happening in the tech space. There's a freelance journalist for a radio station, a copywriter for a gardening magazine, and even a voice actor from San Francisco. And all these people had years and years of experience. The designer from the fintech company had over 10 years, and AI still replaced him. But now let's snap back to here, okay? I want you to think about the Gen Z. These are recent college graduates entering the workforce for the very first time. They don't have any work experience or any real work experience. And so naturally, they're looking for entry-level work like basic data entry, basic research.
I like this guy's video. I think he's a lot smarter than he lets himself on to be. And I'm learning more about the YouTube formula. I'm not having to make things more clear and easy to understand, but everything he's saying so far is 100% spot on. If you're a young person, generally the way you get into a workplace is just by doing grunt work. The shit work that no one else wants to do, or they think they're too important to do. And I remember doing a whole bunch of what was it, volunteer. I had to do like hundreds of hours of volunteer work in hospitals just so that a hospital can recognize me as doing or having enough competence to do enough work just to get paid minimum wage for more grunt work. And so that's where I sort of got my start. But he's absolutely spot on. Like the pathway to the job market for young people was typically grunt work, basic data entry, research, all the stuff that the so-called professionals or the adults in the room didn't want to do would go to young people, and then they would pay their dues and eventually come up in a new role and get more money for it. It's so funny because young people, you guys don't even know that pathway exists because it's just been completely stripped from the equation. We're going to figure out why. Just take a listen.
Grunt work that isn't hard to do, but is necessary to progress in any career. Think of career progression like a ladder, right? Everyone starts off in the bottom rung, doing basic tasks where they learn the ropes and level up, and then they gradually work their way up. But now AI is removing the bottom rungs entirely because this grunt work is the exact type of work that AI can do really well. Since late 2022, job opportunities for these exact kinds of entry-level roles fell roughly 13 to 16%. And since then, AI has only gotten smarter and more advanced. Soon, they'll be able to do more complex tasks and potentially even break into the middle rungs of the career ladder as well. But the thing most people don't realize is that this isn't just about losing entry-level jobs. It's about the traditional career pipeline no longer working for an entire generation.
Super important that I like this guy, Vincent Chan. You're gonna get us subscribe from our team, buddy. So what he's saying is absolutely correct. Your opportunity to get a job and enter the workforce in the conventional way that Gen Xers and boomers understand, it's being eliminated, oftentimes by those age groups. It's guys, no adults in the room right now. You have to look out for yourself right now. The same people who are looking at you, boomers and Gen Xers, expecting you to get a job through the conventional means of putting in the hours, working hard, and getting into the career, getting a career off of the grunt work. These are the same people that are telling you that. They're the same people that are paying for AI implementation or they're the same people hiring AI teams. So we have to pay attention to what the decision makers with money are doing. If they are telling young people you have to work harder to get a job, I don't, and they're basically saying, I don't know what the current job market looks like because I grew up in a time when opportunity was quite literally thrown at me. If you're looking at them saying that, but at the same time spending their money on AI systems, you sort of have to put the dots together here and think to yourself, well, maybe some of these old people, what they're saying isn't exactly 100% accurate. I think I should probably learn something that people are paying money for. I'm really fortunate. I had someone who ran a tech company 15 years ago literally give me access to the technology. Say, hey, Alex, just play with this. Just do it. I got addicted very quickly. I moved through my learning curve very quickly, picked up technology, and I didn't look back. Since then, I've been completely independent, doing work for companies, individuals. Lo and behold, now I can bring on team members to help me do work for larger corporations. But it took 15 years. I started when I was like in my early 20s. I don't know if our economy even has that much time for young people to get a run up into their world. So moving fast into a technical space now to do work is like the most important thing I can tell you, because this typical get an entry level role, and then you're going to be part of that company. Now they have to look after you in terms of benefits, all this other stuff that goes on with an employee, and then make sure you have an on ramp into greater roles so that you don't quit for $5,000, $10,000 more a year somewhere else. It doesn't it doesn't exist anymore. Like the average tenure for boomers like at a job was like 10, 20 years at a time. Then for Gen Xers, it moved down to like maybe 5, 10 years. Millennials aren't at jobs longer than 2, 3 years. And then Gen Z, you guys can't even get jobs. So if this is the pattern and you're a young person, you have to really like, it has to click for you. I need to do something different or I'm going to be in a world of trouble.
And even if a company is still looking for a human to do entry-level jobs, it's still going to be very tough, because the second reason that we're in this mess is the bar keeps getting higher. A majority of employers surveyed already admitted that they raised the experience requirements over the past 3 years.
So this experience gap is super important to understand. I'll talk for 30 more seconds and letting get back to it. We're recognizing this at the agency as a competency gap. The people who are implementing AI systems need work to get done, but they can't pay an adequate salary for someone to come in and do that work competently. So in the Canada, minimum wage is like $20 an hour, $20 Canadian, which is maybe $14, $15 an hour American. That's the minimum wage. And most of the time we talk to healthcare providers, we ask them, well, how much would you pay someone on an annual basis to do the receptionist job or do work that you want AI to do? It's like, oh, we pay minimum wage, maybe $30,000, $40,000 a year. And we look at them right away. We're thinking to ourselves like, okay, well, they're a type of business owner that's willing to pay minimum wage for the literal gateway to their business. So they're probably not thinking much on that end, first of all. And then we present them with an AI option that's on an annual basis going to be cheaper and is going to do the work more competently. And then they have to think to themselves like, oh, damn. You mean to tell me I can get robots to do this stuff that's too hard for humans to do at the wage that I pay them, and I can do it for cheaper? I think I'm going to do that. And so when you have that scenario happening, that amount of experience that otherwise would have gone to a young human being is now being soaked up by task completion through AI. And this it might sound like I'm like ragging on AI right now. I'm not. This is quite literally just an evolution of our economy that young people, unfortunately, are going to pay the price for, because we don't live in a world that caters to bringing young people up. We live in a world that caters to keeping older people happy. It's just the bottom line. Most of the gains are experienced in our marketplace are going into the pockets of older generations, unless you're a smart young person. Like I would say, as soon as you learn technical skills, get into investing into the US stock market. You'll be fine. But until you can get there, you got to find a way to scrape your pennies together.
Entry-level jobs paying $10 an hour with no benefits at a no-name company now requires you to have a master's degree, 8 years of Swift programming experience, even though Swift only came out 5 years ago, and also finding the cure for cancer. There are many reasons that this is happening, from online job portals like LinkedIn and Indeed, making it way too easy for anyone to spam apply to 500 jobs in 2.5 minutes, to companies not wanting to invest time teaching brand new hires from scratch. But one of the less talked about reasons for why companies are raising the bars is that it gives hiring managers a safe way to break the law. So a behind the scenes look, right? During the job hiring process, there are a ton of reasons why someone might want to hire one person over the other. But not all of those reasons are legal. And even if it was legal, doing so might be bad for the company. So what will hiring managers do? They will put a ton of ridiculous requirements that they can be pretty much 98% sure that no single individual candidate will be able to check all the boxes, which allows them to say no to anyone they want while still being within the legal bounds. Because the hiring manager can always say, well, the other candidate, they were missing XYZ requirements. The point is, the career ladder doesn't just have missing bottom rungs anymore. It has rungs now that are 50 feet apart, meaning most Gen Z won't even be able to reach it. The third
So that's like, and before we get to the third reason, all these job board posting sites and all this trash like Indeed, Indeed sends me jobs opportunities. Like I literally have to like manage grown men, tell them what to do work, invoices, contracts, all that stuff. I'm doing this on a regular basis to pay the bills, make sure my guys are getting their bills paid. And Indeed will still send me job opportunities. Me, I'm already making money. Indeed will send me job opportunities for. I had two that were really funny in the last few days. First one was for like content manager for X company, paying 130 to $200,000 a year, all these benefits, all sorts of crazy stuff. Like it was just like insane. I'm like, oh wow, to do content, I would have AI running circles around this role. Great. I saw it. I completely ignored it. Anything coming out of Indeed is as a strictly ignore from me because it's all fake. Second thing, or second job opportunity I got, content specialist, $40,000. Same hours, benefits. Like they're out to lunch, guys. How could they possibly look at my profile as being the guy who's literally running a company and trying to offer me a job? Meanwhile, there's kids out here who are literally dying of starvation. They can't even afford to pay bills or buy food, and they can't get work. Our system is broken, guys, and it's not gonna be an older group of people to come and tell us this because they're the people who broke it. It's gonna be young people getting up and being like, "Hey, guys, we got to figure out how to make money in our own way. There's all sorts of ways to do it. YouTube market, stock market, options market, crypto market. Get into it because no one's coming to save you."
reason this is happening is a little bit more low-key. So a 2024 survey found that 40% of employers are actively posting job opportunities without any intention to hire or even respond to applicants. People in the know call this ghost job postings. It's basically a strategy that companies use to seem like they're growing or to make the overworked worker feel better by implying help is almost on the way. In fact, this person noticed that their own department had openings for 8 straight months, despite not actually needing any more staff in the office. So when he asked HR about it, they basically said that we keep the job postings up even though we're not hiring because turnover is really high for this role. In other words, companies try to build a pipeline of potential candidates for the future. Although they don't have any interest in hiring someone right now, they want to have your information on file so they can hit you up when they need to fill a vacant spot. But there is another reason that companies do ghost job postings. And frankly, I think it's a lot worse than everything else we said so far.
Wow.
For most job applications, right, it's going to ask you to list out your qualifications, your salary expectations, your previous employers, and your previous salaries, meaning you are basically giving these companies free insider information so they can learn about their industry, they can see what their competitors are paying, and gauge how many people are looking for a specific role. Based on this, they can make major decisions like what's the lowest salary they can offer to hire someone, and how difficult would it be to get a replacement if they fire a current employee.
So this is a very common practice in Canada. employers will try their absolute best to get the cheapest labor possible. Like I'm talking about below minimum wage, cheap foreign workers coming in working for below minimum wage. Like it's happening in Canada, guys. We got to really pay attention to this stuff. And what that does is it drags down the rest of the market for the value. It's like a race to the bottom. Who can do the most work for the least per hour? And it's dragging the market down to a point where young people are looking at the marketplace going, well, how the hell am I supposed to compete with people who are immigrating from a country who's has literally nothing, who are willing to work for like half the wage and live in extreme conditions, plus AI robots? It's like nightmare difficulty for young people right now in North America. So if you're watching this, you need to seriously consider adopting digital skills that'll help you make money online. The world is racing towards online, digital markets, digital currencies. Like everyone could talk as much shit about crypto and meme coins as they want, but once you start making money on this stuff, you really got to ask yourself, like, is there a better way to spend my time aside of learning digital and markets and stuff like that? This is where all the money ends up anyways. Ask yourself that.
The problem with this ghost listing strategy is that it costs the job seekers time and energy, and then only to discover that there was never a real chance in the first place.
Yep.
And I'd argue even worse, it gives these job seekers a false sense of hope. Because imagine you find your perfect company, your perfect role, only for all your applications to go into a black hole. And if you think this is just an issue in the United States, think again. Youth unemployment in the EU is around 14%, which is more than double the overall EU unemployment rate. In China, the urban youth unemployment rate in 2023 hit a record 21.3%.
I think China.
And there's a popular movement in China called lying flat, which is basically young people giving up on the rat race because the opportunities just aren't there. Even in South Korea, right, youth unemployment rate is higher than it was for previous generations. And they even have a term called the spec war, which means you need multiple certifications and specifications and perfect grades to land any job. And I tell you this with the hopes that maybe you have a bit of misery loves company comfort in knowing that this is a global issue and it's not just you. But here's the thing, all right?
There's good habits, and then there's forgetting your insurance renewal date. Just let me check for you. I'll compare the top providers. You could be saving like a lot. Make comparing your rate a habit.
No, I don't believe in that stuff. We'll see. We'll see. Can we skip the ad? Christ.
Whether you are Gen Z or not, if you are struggling to find a job in today's job market, don't worry. There is a way through this, and I'm going to be sharing my 3-step framework that I created based on my obsession and love for video games that actually helped 2 of my friends recently land their dream jobs. So giving some context.
So right away, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no such thing as a dream job. Dream job is you wake up and you don't do shit and you get paid. That's a dream job. How do you get there? You got to build stuff and get paid for it. Then you got to buy stocks and shit on the marketplace that'll pay you passively. That's the dream everyone's looking for. There's no dream job where you wake up and you're excited to go to work and you get paid as much as you think you need. If it was really a dream, you wouldn't do any work. You wouldn't tell anyone what to do. You just wake up and get paid. That's what I'm personally working for. But we got to stop thinking about this idea of job. And we got to start thinking about this idea of work for money in a meaningful way, save your money and build stuff with your money. Because the ways that we've been taught, you have to get a job, you have to work for the man to just survive. Like we got to do better, guys, especially for the youth. I don't know if I want to watch any more about this 3-step framework. We'll see.
In any video games, whether that's Mario, League of Legends, or Black Myth Wukong, you mainly play 3 positions: defensive, neutral, and offensive. And during your entire job hunt, you're going to have to play all 3, or else you're going to have a bad time. First, play defense. This is all about protecting your health bar. In real life, this means your financial stability and your basic well-being. You can't control the job markets, but you can control how you cushion yourself for all the punches that are coming.
I will watch
Step one, you need to get your money.
This guy, he's smart, but he makes it very simple, and I'm growing to appreciate that more. This guy's almost got 1 million subscribers, and it just leads me to believe that most of the YouTube crowd is pretty simple-minded. That's got to change. We got to get more sophisticated minds, or at least simple minds thinking more sophisticatedly. Because money management, personal finance, like that's a background noise. You got to have that shit on lock if you're a young person. And they don't teach anything about money. I didn't learn about things like liabilities and liabilities, assets, expenses, income, anything like that until I was in my early 20s. And the reason why I learned about it was because of digital. I wanted to learn, how to start a business. So I had to learn about money. I had to learn about what a liability was, what an asset was, all that stuff. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, Think Grow Rich. Reading books. You have to teach yourself shit. You can't just sit here and expect the job market just to give you stuff. If anything, there's someone coming to take your opportunity right now, guys. It's probably someone your age who looks just like you. Save your money.
Situation in order. And I know that's not fun, but it's actually more important than ever because job uncertainty or periods of unemployment, they might be the new norm for a little bit. The easiest way to defend your finances is with a very simple budget. You can write this on the back of a napkin if you want, as long as you follow the 60-20-20 rule, which basically means 60% of your monthly expenses should be dedicated to core expenses. This is your utilities, your bills, your housing, your rent. 20% should be dedicated to your choice expenses. So these are things that you do for fun. And then the remaining 20% should be dedicated to your growth expenses.
So when you get to this point, and like if you're serious about your business or your life in general, you're going to get to this point where you have a monthly budget and an understanding of your income, or the income coming into your business or your world, and the outcome or the expenses that you got to get over every month. It's budgeting. It's basic budgeting. And accounting. It really, really helps when you know you're ahead every month and you have more money coming in than you have leaving. And so if you haven't started this yet, no matter where you are in your tech understanding, financial understanding, you have to do this. You have to be accountable for what you're spending. I can tell you right now, I'm looking at his core choice list right there, and I can scratch off about $1,000 in shit that he doesn't need on a monthly basis that could be sent to the stock market or spending money on tech tools to build something right away. This idea that we can just eat out, home decor, home decor, fancy clothing, entertainment. The only thing that I see on there that's absolutely necessary is a gym membership.
This is your emergency fund, your investments, and all that shabam. By the way, if you want to get the money map that I just showed you for free, just head to the link in the description down below. It's already being used by tens of thousands of people. Once you have your simple budget set up, you want to try to cut costs where possible. For example, if you can live at home for a little bit longer to save on rent, that would be fantastic. Unfortunately, about 34% of Gen Zers have no emergency savings at all. But if you want to play good defense, you want to save at least 3 months of expenses in your emergency fund, which is going to allow you to treat the job hunting process more like a marathon and less of a sprint. Next, play the neutral stance. All right.
It's not just about fixing typos. Grammarly helped me strike the right tone, whether I was requesting research opportunities.
So in video games, neutral stance is just like you're observing, you're picking up power-ups, you're preparing your next move. In real life, this translates to taking care of your mental health, staying grounded, and improving yourself in low-pressure ways during the job process. About 74% of Gen Z and young millennials said that the job search has negatively impacted their mental health. I remember when I was deep in the job hunt, right? Every single time I got rejected, it made me feel super insecure and super small. Like maybe I am not as good as I think I am.
Okay, so that right here, we got to drop that stuff. I feel bad. I feel insecure. I feel like I can't do shit. You just drop your feelings 100% and operate more like a machine. Every day, 15, 20, 50 applications. Every day you're calling businesses. asking them if they need to have work done for whatever. We can't just think, oh, I got rejected. Oh, I'm sad now. That's trash. Do a year in sales, pure commission environment. I guarantee you'll never be sad about a rejection again from anyone for anything. It's pathetic. This whole idea that we have to, and that's the one thing where I do see a lot of older generations looking at younger generations going, why is this mental health thing such an issue for you guys? Why can't you just do it? Well, young people are working in an environment that's literal nightmare difficulty compared to other generations. And B, previous generations, they had, to face something like a world war. I know my my father, he's 85. He was literally born in the midst of the World War II. So like his entire life has been a run up post World War. But like the idea that mental health was even considered a thing back in the day for them, it's not. It's just oh, you're sad, get over it and do work. And I think as hard as it is to say, we have to spend less time worrying about mental health and worrying more about, can I just get work to get paid and pay my bills and survive and build? Like survive, bottom line. Mental health is becoming a comfort. If you can be unhealthy mentally or at least sad, but you're paying your bills, you're doing better than someone who's homeless and happy.
And what helped me through those really tough times was really doing three things. All right. So first is to set boundaries to prevent yourself from burning out. For example, when I was looking for a job, I would time block on my calendar 2 hours a day, reserved just for the job search. And then for the rest of the time, I focused on hobbies and fun, but more importantly on the offensive stance, which is the next one that I'm going to get into in a bit. The second thing that helps me is just finding community. All right, even if it is a friend into Reddit, because it allows me to vent, to help sunlight more than I thought it would. Science says that going for a walk, just some little habits.
And, God bless this guy. He's trying to help the youth. If you're looking for a job, spend time doing physical training. Train your body. It'll give you the mental wherewithal to overcome the words and emotions of weak people around you, namely hiring managers. Oh, you didn't do this, that, and this? Okay, fuck you. I'm going to go to the next hiring manager, and they're going to see me. 2 years later, you're still looking for a job, except this time you're coming back with 40 pounds of muscle. Someone's going to hire you. Trust me. Physical training is extremely important for on a very primitive and primal level for someone to look at you and say, hey, this guy looks like he's capable. He literally looks capable. He might be able to do good work. Like the amount of jobs I got just because I was more physically domineering in a sales role. Like I probably got most of my roles that way.
That helps me more than I thought it would. Even doing push-ups in your room, like going for a walk, exposing yourself to sunlight, or exercising, even doing push-ups in your room, or yoga. These are all really great ways to boost your mood. Oh, and also sleeping. Next, play offense. All right, that means making more proactive moves to just take advantage of any opportunities. The first step is to use your time to find small things that might strengthen your resume, even if it's just a little bit. For example, if you're interested in digital marketing, Google offers a bunch of free online courses with certification that you can tack onto your resume to make it stand out. Next, just consider taking on side quests, all right? Maybe taking on a full-time career track job is really, really hard to come by right now. So think about it, right? Is there an alternative path that you can temporarily take? Maybe you aspire to be in film production, but nothing is hitting for a full-time role. Could you pick up a freelance video editing project or even work at a small YouTube channel to start building?
I didn't do like the video production stuff, but it was like looking for a job, a main job in tech. You'll get little jobs here and there. People pay a few $100 to do something really hard or a lot of work for a few $100. And then you get to more technical stuff. They'll pay you a lot of money for a little bit of work, but just because you know how to do it. So I do agree with the side quest thing. This guy's using a lot of gamer terms. It's funny. It's interesting to see where young people's minds are at, but he's right. You want to do side quests. You want to gain experience points. So you can look at your next hiring manager. They're like, oh, well, do you have this and this? Well, I just built 3 or 4 automations that could do your job. Can I do that here? You guys want to pay me for my skills? I'm really looking forward to young people getting enough technical know-how where they can look at these hiring managers and be like, I can build you.
Resume to make you stand out more. And who knows, you might love it. Number 3, and this is probably the most important one, especially in today's job market. Unfortunately, the reality is that many jobs nowadays are won through personal connections and not really public applications. Studies show that when an existing employee refers a candidate, they are 7 times more likely to be hired than those who
And this is true. Like even in my very earliest days, just even getting sales jobs, it was because someone said, "Hey, this guy's really good at sales." Got me a job there. Another person says, "Hey, this guy's really good at sales." But it was because I put up numbers. Like when you're able to get money for something, be it selling a service or a product or something, you literally have this aura of value. It's being an accretive salesperson. Accretive is when you're contributing positively to the revenue or bottom line of a company. And generally, if you can do that as a salesperson, you can pretty much work anywhere, doing anything, selling anything. So I would advise young people, if you're not really too technical and you can't get into a lot of you still got to do it. Try your best to do as much technical stuff as possible. But if you're a good people person, you can navigate a conversation really well. You can know when to not talk and when to talk and when to ask the right questions and when to really listen. Get into sales. We need salespeople. Hell, AI needs salespeople because of how resistant people are to adopting it, business owners especially. But it's 100% possible to be a salesperson by anyone, just so long as they have the wherewithal and willpower.
just apply online and job boards. I always tell people how important networking is in the job search. And in these videos, I'll always receive comments like, it doesn't work like that, or it doesn't work, or you live in a fantasy world. But listen, here's some tough love, all right? Networking is tough. It can be very, very tough, but there's no way around it.
I got to disagree with this guy here on that one. Networking has become impossible. Like you're just networking with other people who are networking because no one has money. That's generally what happens. Like as a young person, when I was networking, I've never been in a position where I was networking where someone said, "Oh yeah, I like you because you're networking about business. Let me give you some opportunities and money in business or jobs or any shit like that." It doesn't work that way. Real networking, and literally where I get opportunities, is at the gym. When people see you lifting heavy objects, sweating and borderline hurting yourself just so that you can personally improve, they look at you and go, "Wow, this guy is like consistent, man. He's out here killing himself. I wonder what he does for his job. I wonder what he does for work." Hell, I see people in the gym that look healthy, capable, big, strong, and I'm like, I would love to have that person work for my company. I don't even know what the fuck they do. So we really need to step away from this. Oh, it's, I'm sad. I don't have any opportunities. The world is hard. I can't get a job. Everyone's facing that same scenario. Everyone's in that same circumstance. We're in the worst case scenario for jobs for young people. The way you come out of it, rise to the top. The cream always rises, as Randy Savage would put it. So be a savage, train, be bigger, stronger, faster, smarter than the people around you, and the environment you're in will give you money. For me, I'm learning myself that even being big, strong, fast, and smart doesn't cut it. Even having money doesn't cut it. I got to get online. I got to do YouTube videos now to make sure people can see my face, hear my voice, so that when they get in a discovery call, they know who they're talking to. And they're not just talking to some random schmo. So, young people, they take some pieces of this guy's advice. He's clearly a smart guy, and he's trying to do good by the youth. But just know, no one's really out here coming to help you. You can give you as much advice as you want, but I'll give you bottom line advice here. If you don't have a job right now, sell yourself and the ability to sell and try and get a sales job. As soon as you've landed or secured any sort of income, start to put that money into stock market, start to learn technical stuff, buy courses to learn about how AI works, whatever you have to do to build yourself up in that sales role. Eventually you'll get to a point where it's like, hey, maybe I don't need it to sell. Maybe I can do some contract work for people in addition to just selling. Oh, I'm now doing enough contract work where I don't need to sell, and I can just do contract work for whatever, and I can just train, do contract work, pay for my bills. Like I'm literally describing to my path, and it works. But I can tell you right now, it wasn't networking me going to networking events. It was me just literally being bigger, stronger, faster, and smarter than the people around me, and people going, I want to know what that guy's about. I want to be a part of his life. And they will. They'll come. If you build yourself, they will come. Anyways, you guys can watch the rest of this one. I'm going to try and eat some food and maybe do one more video. But if you like what you're hearing here, or if you don't like it, let us know in the comments. I'm trying my best to sort of segue into different areas of YouTube just to try and pump up our visibility here. Conversation's still primarily focused around AI. It's coming a lot into young people now. I think I might put together a little community for the youth. See if we can point you guys in the right direction, because as it stands now, goddamn, you guys are out in the weeds with no one's throwing you a life raft or any sort of help. So you really gotta thank these thank these guys on YouTube for giving you some guidance, because the youth really need it. But with that being said, I'm gonna look forward to the next one. If you guys have ideas on what you want me to talk about or review or even another video, I really like this Vincent Chan guy. I'm gonna keep following him, see what he's talking about with AI and the economy. But I'm really excited to see what happens next, but also at the same time, head on the swivel, guys. Look forward to the next one. Bye now.